Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Huddle Chat Sports Show, your favorite cannabis powered yet sports driven talk show, otherwise known as THC Sports. First of all, before we get started, I gotta start with a big, jolly, happy holidays and Merry Christmas from over here at THC Sports. I hope you and yours are having an amazing holiday season and you're going to bring in the new year correctly, watching me next week, and you guys have an amazing start to your 2021. This is going to be your year. I can already feel it. Because 2020 was absolute hecticness. I can't say that it was bad. I can't say that it was good because everybody had different things. Me personally, I actually had a fairly good year despite all the hecticness and all the chaos of 2020. But to end off 2020, it's almost as if Santa Claus himself has come down. He's come into town and he's blessed all of us sports fans with the greatest Christmas present of all, and that's a full slate of sports back at it again, ready for you on Christmas Day and the weekend to follow. I mean, to start it all off, we even started a few days before Christmas on December 22nd, the tip-off of the NBA, and even though it seems like NBA just ended yesterday, boy, is it so exciting to have the NBA back and in full swing and it just going in full momentum. It felt great watching basketball games on December 22nd. And tip-off night, honestly, that opening night slate could have been some shit on a Lifetime movie. The games that they put together for that December 22nd game slot were absolutely amazing. We were spoiled with those opening night games. I mean, the first game being Golden State against Brooklyn, KD's first game back from injury, Kyrie's first game back from injury, KD's first game back in Golden State, where Steph Curry's first game and back from injury. It's really nice to see both of these teams who honestly were nothing at all last season, basically strictly off of injury. All their star power was fully injured and out for pretty much the entire season. So you're looking at both teams coming back in full effect. And again, like I said, it's KD's return to basketball. And his first game is against the Golden State Warriors, his ex-team, who he left after the championship. And then the following game is the highly anticipated Clippers-Lakers that we didn't get to see in the bubble and in the playoffs last season, but that we got blessed with on opening night. We've also had some really good games. Last night, Wednesday night, we had some amazing games. You got to see Luka doncic against the Phoenix Suns, and that was an amazing game on primetime basketball last night. You got to see Luka come out, ball. And Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns came out and answered the punches that the Mavericks threw. But then I want to point your attention towards Christmas Day, the big day. You're going to wake up in the morning. It's going to be amazing. Kids are going to run downstairs, and if you don't have kids, you're going to run downstairs just like a kid and say, boy, it's Christmas. Santa Claus came. You're going to open up your presents. And the thing is, your family's going to wonder, what's going on? Why aren't you here with us? Because all you can think about as a sports fan is this full day of basketball and football just waiting for me. And it's going to be all day long. The first thing you want to point your attention towards is the very rare, like the Loch Ness Monster rare, Friday NFL football game. There's only been 10 Friday football games played since the NFL-AFL merger back in the day. And this will be the first time in over 10 years that we will be seeing a Friday matchup on the NFL schedule. Kickoff's at 4:30 Eastern, and that's going to be smack dab. The Saints-Vikings game kicking off at 4:30. That's going to be smack dab right in the middle of the biggest NBA day of the year. I like to tell fans that of the NFL that don't quite watch as much basketball or don't quite understand as much basketball as some of the bigger basketball fans, that Christmas Day is for basketball what Thanksgiving is for football. Christmas Day is one of the biggest days of the year on the NBA schedule. And not only is it one of the biggest days, this is one of the first times people are going to be able to see their team because this will be their second game overall in the entire season because the season just started 2 days prior. So the biggest day in the NBA season, Christmas Day, tips off first thing in the morning, 12 p.m. Eastern. For me, myself, in Mountain Standard Time, that's going to be 10 o'clock in the morning. So right after I open my presents and eat my food. Tipping off at 12 Eastern is going to be that Pelicans Heat game. Your first chance looking at Zion, most likely. Your first chance looking at that Miami Heat team coming back off the championship loss. And so we're getting to see two, honestly, really exciting teams to watch against each other first thing in the morning. And then the time slots go with the Warriors-Bucks coming on at 2:30 Eastern. Then you're looking at Brooklyn versus the Boston Celtics at 5, a little bit after the NFL game starts. Then you're also going to be looking at Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks playing the Los Angeles Lakers, and that's going to be such an exciting matchup, maybe one of the most exciting of the day. But the primetime matchup, the big matchup of the day, is going to be the rematch of that Clippers-Nuggets, that big finals matchup, that big upset in the playoffs. So you're getting to see that Clippers team come in angry against that young, hot, fierce Denver Nuggets team. And oh my goodness, I'm just seriously almost drooling over this Christmas Day basketball lineup. I cannot wait for Christmas Day. I could forget about the presents. All I care about is these games going on. And then that's not even it. Thankfully this year, Christmas Day falls on Friday. So on Saturday, of course, we're getting Saturday basketball. Of course, we're getting Saturday college football. And of course, it is week 15 in the NFL. We know what that means. We are getting Saturday football again this week, as well as the Sunday lineup and the Monday lineup. So we get a full day of sports on Christmas Day. Then the day after, Saturday, we get a full day of sports, like almost too many to watch. And then Sunday, your regular Sunday NFL lineup, and then even capped off with Monday Night Football. I could cry right now, it's so beautiful. But don't start shedding tears yet, fans, because we're talking about a triple header fight week coming up as soon as the new year starts, smack dab in the middle of January, starting on January 13th, and then it gets capped off, it gets culminated with that Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier matchup, and that's 3 big fight nights all in 1 week. Oh my goodness, as a sports fan, I feel spoiled. And like I said, it's like Santa Claus himself has come down and blessed us because it's been such a rough year with sports. It was only right to end the year correctly with almost a marathon of sports. And I cannot wait for it. And I can only assume that if you're watching this, you're one of two things. You're like me and you're an avid sports fan and you're excited as well. Either that or you're also a stoner just like myself. Now, before we get started with today's episode, I got to spark it up with the intro first off and foremost. If you're new to the channel and you haven't seen the THC Sports and you've been wondering, what is THC Sports? What is the Huddle Chat? This is going to be a cannabis-powered, yet sports-driven talk show. Around here, we focus purely on the sports. We leave the politics out of it. We like to plow new ground. We like to focus on those teams, players, and storylines that just do not get as much attention as they should in the national headlines. I mean, if you're anything like me and you're tired of hearing about the same teams and the same players over and over and over and over and over again, then you have found a home here on THC Sports. Because around here, like I said, we plow new ground. I want to talk about what you want to hear about. So never be afraid to drop any comments on the YouTube video or to check me out on social media at THC Sports. Leave me any feedback that you want me to know. And also, drop me any topics that you want me to talk about. If you want to debate with me on the Huddle Chat Sports Show, or if you just want me to talk about your team, let me know. Talk about it on the THC Sports on Twitter or on Facebook, or drop a comment right here on this video. I'll check them all, I'll interact with them all, and I love the feedback with y'all. But of course, like I said, this is a cannabis-powered talk show. So cannabis will be infused throughout the talk show because it's hard to deny the wave that is cannabis. Marijuana is going to be a part of sports in the future. Marijuana is a part of sports right now, whether you like it or not. And you're starting to see with teams, you're starting to see with leagues like the MLB, the NFL, the NBA, starting to not even test or stopping suspensions for marijuana because they're allowing their players that sort of therapy, that sort of medication, and that sort of relaxation. So marijuana is going to be a part of sports, and it's going to be a helpful part of sports, a positive part of sports before you know it. So welcome to your favorite cannabis-powered yet sports-driven talk show. And like I said, we're gonna be infusing cannabis throughout the talk show. So to get everything started, we gotta spark it up. So if you do consume, I invite you to smoke them if you got them. So let's spark it up, get the talk show going, and let me kick it to Eric for the intro.
Like as soon as you click on the video, it's and then marijuana title cards with smoke coming up.
I may be covered in cat hair, but I still smell good. Baby, let me know, how do I look in my do-rag? Don't lie to me, let me rock you all night long. I'm trying to impress you, girl.
And you're getting high in the middle of the afternoon off some weed.
And we smoke a lot of weed, bro. Like a whole lot of weed.
Now, if you like my content and you haven't yet, make sure you drop a like on this video. That like button helps me out more than you'll ever imagine. And if you haven't yet and you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you don't know, now you know. Hitting the notifications bell will let you know as soon as the episode drops. Typically, we're coming out with new episodes every Thursday. I did take a break over the last couple weeks just because it was really hectic and really chaotic at work, and I just did not have the time to even sit down and record the episode. But we're going to make up for that today. A couple topics we're going to go over today. The first one I want to get into is this going to be the year that the Philadelphia 76ers get over the hump? They've been a good team for a couple of years, but they haven't been able to get over that hump. They're good enough to make the playoffs, but eventually get knocked out in the first round. I mean, honestly, the more things change, the more things stay the same for the Philadelphia 76ers. They are a team that wouldn't shock the world by winning it all, by getting bounced in the first round, or anything in between. The new president of basketball operations, Daryl Morey, was able to come in and redesign and retool the supporting cast around the stars Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. They were able to bring in floor spacing threats that the roster desperately needed. And then they brought in head coach Doc Rivers and challenged him to make sense of it all and be able to repair a roster that has been worth less than the sum of its parts for multiple years now. Ultimately, it comes down to Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. They've put the parts around Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, particularly looking at Danny Green and Seth Curry. They were able to bring in, like I said, the floor spacing threats that they needed. They were able to space the floor around Ben Simmons because we know Ben Simmons can't shoot for shit, and Joel Embiid really can't shoot much better. But like I said, ultimately it's going to come down to Joe and Simmons. Can they coexist at championship level consistently over a long period of time and when it counts? I mean, without a doubt, the retooling of the cast, the adding on to the players that they added on this offseason, and the addition of Doc Rivers, who's a smart basketball mind and a great basketball coach, there's without a doubt that that's going to be able to boost the pair and nudge the pair towards the edge of success. And honestly, I have no doubt in my mind that if they have been trusting the process and they can continue to trust the process, there's honestly no doubt in my mind that this team is going to be in fantastic position come playoff time. They're going to be one of the best teams in their conference. And if this was 2019, honestly, I'd say they have really nothing stopping them from reaching those NBA finals and contending with whoever's going to be coming out of that Eastern Conference. But sadly for the Philadelphia 76ers, this ain't the year. There's no denying and there's no avoiding that gigantic super team that's coming out of Brooklyn. Kevin Durant's coming back healthy, Kyrie Irving is coming back healthy, and even just the glimpse that we got to see of that team on opening night, that team is going to be scary. And honestly, they are going to be the most explosive offense in the NBA this season. I don't really think there's anybody in the conference that's going to be able to stop the Brooklyn Nets until they reach the finals and reach one of those high-powered teams like the Clippers, like the Lakers, like maybe even the Nuggets. So I see the Philadelphia 76ers being a great team this year, being better than they have been this year. But this is not the year for the Philadelphia 76ers because this is Brooklyn's time. Brooklyn's about to take over, and there's no avoiding that wave coming out of Brooklyn. So unfortunately for Philadelphia, this ain't their time. Like I said, if this was last year, I'd give it to them. But unfortunately, this ain't the year that they're going to get over the hump. Now, I want to switch gears real quick. I want to downshift heavily. I want to go from talking about some of the best teams in the NBA to talking about one of the worst teams in the NBA. My favorite, the Chicago Bulls. And honestly, going into this 2020-2021 season, what does the word success mean to a Chicago Bulls fan? I mean, like, we're not realistically thinking that we may even make the playoffs. And we've played one game, and that display that we put up against Atlanta, I don't even want to speak about it. But what does the word success mean? What do we want to see out of the Chicago Bulls this year coming out of this season? I mean, considering the fact that over the last 3 years we've failed to win more than 27 games, I think a big goal for the Chicago Bulls this season is to win 30 games. If the Chicago Bulls can win 30 games, in maybe even a game or two more, I'm happy as a Chicago Bulls fan. That's improvement. But what I want to see from the Chicago Bulls is I want to see movement. I want to see movement on the roster. I mean, we've got rid of our absolutely terrible coaching situation last season, and I'm going to just chalk that up as, COVID mixed with the coaching situation. Last year was really just a throwaway year for the Chicago Bulls. And a couple weeks ago, if you haven't seen my last episode, I'll drop a link in the description. But a couple weeks ago, we talked about right after the NBA trade or the NBA draft night about the Chicago Bulls picking up Patrick Williams out of FSU, and I was honestly a little bit upset about the direction that we had moved with Patrick Williams. But after a little bit more research and a little bit more thought, I can't be too terribly upset with that pick. Patrick Williams in college, he was able to he was able to defend on the defensive side of the ball. He was able to defend positions 1 through 5. He was able to defend guards and centers alike and shut them down all evenly. So he's a great defensive tool to put around the team. So he's a decent pickup. He's not necessarily going to be the future of the team. I can't see that really necessarily him being the superstar of the team. But having that defensive presence, like an Andre Iguodala type player on the team, could be extremely helpful to the Bulls, especially considering we already have Wendell Carter, who is really good on the defensive side of the ball. And we're kind of looking like a tough, gritty team to play against. Chicago basketball is kind of getting a new definition. But when I say I want to see movement on the roster, I want to see the Chicago Bulls make changes, because we've been in a rebuild phase for a couple years now, and I'm getting exhausted of it as a Chicago Bulls fan. It's like I'm going into this NBA season like not even interested in watching the Chicago Bulls, and I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. That should say something about the Chicago Bulls franchise. Who out there is really interested in watching the Chicago Bulls? Nobody really, unless you're a Chicago Bulls owner or a Chicago Bulls player, family member. You really don't give a fuck about watching the Chicago Bulls this season. I want to see the Chicago Bulls make some changes. I mean, we're looking at Kobe White, and he's going to have a breakout year this year. That's what I predict about the Chicago Bulls, and that's what I really want to hope, is that Kobe White really takes off this year and really is going to show himself as our big, explosive, offensive presence. And what that will allow us to do is that will allow us to get rid of Zach LaVine, the high-flying Zach LaVine. He's had a couple of big injuries, but he's played extremely well with the Chicago Bulls. And honestly, Zach LaVine is the name on the team. He's the biggest name that we can trade away on the Chicago Bulls and receive a decent return for. I mean, when you look at the draft picks that we have coming up in the future, we have some very decent draft capital coming up over the next few years. If we can trade Zach LaVine for one of two things, either A, we get some more draft picks out of Zach LaVine, and we're able to combine those draft picks to either bring in another all-star, another superstar caliber player, or we end up just making moves in the drafts and continuing to build and continuing to improve. No more of this less than 30 wins bullshit we've been going through. Or we can combine a couple of our good draft picks with Zach LaVine and go out and get a big name player, go out and make a move. I'm not going to lie to you, I can't even really name you one specific player that I would like the Chicago Bulls to target, because we need just about everything. But at the same time, if we continue to, like I said before, trust the process, as Joel Embiid has instilled in all of our minds as basketball fans, we have Lauri Markkanen, we have Wendell Carter Jr., we have Kobe White, we have Patrick Williams. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've put together a fairly stout young roster of players, and over the next couple of years they're going to come into their right. They're going to hit that NBA level, and they're going to take off, and our team is going to be a young, hard team to play against, similar to what the Memphis Grizzlies look like right now after they got Ja Morant, or what the Phoenix Suns look like right now with Devin Booker. Like I'm saying, not predicting we're going to be a great team unless we make some big moves, but if we can continue to build and trust the process, Get rid of Zach LaVine, like I said, and either put together some draft picks and get another all-star player, or just put together some draft picks and make the moves in the drafts and trust the young players. I think the Chicago Bulls will have success that way. That's the only way we can see success, because as you just heard me say, success for the Chicago Bulls this season is winning at least 30 games. Just winning 30 games. That's all we're asking. Anything more is gravy. Kobe White has a breakout year. That's a successful season for the Chicago Bulls. Just small improvements that show us that we are making steps to be an NBA basketball team again. Because, like I said, it's exhausting being a Chicago Bulls fan right now. Now, before I get into the next topic, I'd like to congratulate Don Clark for answering last week's trivia question correctly. I mean, not last week, but last episode's trivia question correctly. Who won the 2014 AP NFL Coach of the Year? Was Bruce Arians. An amazing coach, came from Indianapolis the year after Chuck Pagano, the year Chuck Pagano got cancer. And he took over and did an absolutely amazing job as interim head coach, and that's how he ended up getting his job with the Arizona Cardinals. And congratulations to Bruce Arians. So now this week on social media, what I would like you, the viewer, to do for me is I am going to be putting together a best of episode here at the end of the year. In the next episode or two, we're looking in the end of the year. We're looking at the new year. We're looking at bringing in 2021, and it was a very chaotic year in 2020, but it was also a very fun year, a very interesting year, and a lot of really cool shit happened this year. So I'm going to be putting together a best of episode over here on the Huddle Chat Sports Show. So what I would like you to do this week and next week on social media, hit me up on Facebook at the Huddle Chat Sports. Hit me up on Twitter at THC Sports. And over there, you're going to let me know what was your favorite 2020 NFL touchdown celebration. What was the best 2020 NFL catch of the year? What was the best 2020 NFL hit of the year? Biggest plays of the year. I'm going to post a couple of different questions on those pages, and I would like you to respond to me either with a GIF, a YouTube clip, even just a word of mouth comment, and let me know what was your favorite touchdown dance. What were the best moments in sports, particularly in the NFL in 2020? And again, that's going to be on Facebook, on Twitter, at THC Sports, or at the Huddle Chat Sports. Make sure you hit me up there and drop your favorites of 2020. Now, moving on into the next topic, I want to talk about somebody who I've been hyping up for a while, and if you've seen any of my previous episodes, you know I'm a big fan of this man coming out of Dallas. That boy Luka Doncic is on fire, and he's a great player. He is extremely fun to watch, and I'd argue one of the best in the league. And a lot of people are arguing one of the best in the league. And so that makes you ask, will this be the year that Luka Doncic contends for the MVP and can actually win the MVP award? I mean, like I said, he's one of the most exciting players to watch in basketball. He's taking the basketball world by storm right now. He's proven day in and day out thus far that he can score from anywhere. If you give him space, he'll punish you. If you pressurize him, he'll play gritty and physical basketball and attack the rim. The versatility of Luka Doncic is being compared to players like Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James, two of the previous MVPs. And if you look at Luka Doncic's numbers so far in the first 2 years compared to what LeBron James, y'all's king, has been put up in his first 2 seasons, the stats are actually kind of favored towards Luka. Luka's playing similarly, if not better, than LeBron did in his first 2 seasons. Luka has shown an incredible ability to not only play, but adapt and win at the highest level, as well as produce at the highest level and do it consistently. With being a highly touted player coming out of college, defenses were already on high alert when he came into the league, so he's been receiving that high defensive attention and high defensive pressure since coming into the league, and he's been performing since coming into the league. Defenses have been on high alert of Luka's ability from jump. He's proven to be a consistent scorer and playmaker. He can shoot with the best. He can finish with both hands around the rim. He can finesse floaters over 7-footers. He can attack the basket. He can splash threes with hands in his face. Fact of the matter is, Luka's even warranting double teams from most of the league's defenses, and still finding a way to average almost 25 points a game. And he's also emerged into a high-level playmaker. The Mavs have continued to put a great supporting cast around him and continue to build the supporting cast around him, and his assist numbers are going to see continual rise from it. I mean, when you look at today's NBA, there's a high emphasis on double-doubles and triple-doubles. And honestly, Luka Doncic is a double-digit point, rebound, and assist threat every night he steps on the court. And then let's not forget about Luka's clutch genes. Luka has proven us time and time again in the regular season and in the playoffs that he's got the clutch gene down the stretch when it counts. Luka Doncic is a great player, and he's so young, he's only getting better. He's a player that people just don't seem to be paying attention to as much. Last season's bubble and a couple of those big games that he had in the playoffs last season got a little bit more attention towards Luka Doncic, but this will be the year that Luka Doncic contends with that MVP. Of course, he's going to have to contend with LeBron. Of course, he's going to still have to contend with Kevin Durant. And there's going to be other players. Giannis, he's still going to have to keep Giannis from winning it a third time in a row. So there's things standing in his way. But I have no doubt in my mind that Luka Doncic is going to be one of the best players in the NBA this season, because he is one of the best players in the NBA right now. And at the end of the year, Luka Doncic will be one of the top 3 MVP candidates. Promise, you heard it here first. Now, to wrap up the show, of course, I got to be honest with you guys. You might hear me say this a lot of weeks during the NFL season, but I can't lie to you. I don't think that there is a bigger game in the NFL on the schedule this week besides that Colts-Steelers matchup. There's a lot riding on that Colts-Steelers matchup. Outside of the Colts and Titans competing for the playoff contention, I mean, you have the Steelers with a chance to lose the division lead and let the Cleveland Browns take the division lead. There's a lot of things riding, a lot of playoff teams and a lot of positioning riding on the outcome of this Colts-Steelers matchup. And this Colts-Steelers matchup is going to be huge. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers coming off of 3 absolutely crazy losses. I mean, losses that we kind of expected them. It was about time that they lost, and you're kind of starting to see the wherewithal and the actual structure of this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and it's not as tough as we all thought. But what the big point of this matchup is because the Indianapolis Colts don't have a great offense in any aspect of the word. We have a good offense, but we don't have one of the best offenses in the NFL in any aspect of the word. We have a decent offense. We have an offense that can get it done. But what we do have is an elite defense, one of the top 2 defenses in the league. The big problem is the Pittsburgh Steelers is the other defense. They're the other top 2 defense in the league. I mean, we can look at stats and we can quibble and quabble over stats. Of course, I'm going to tell you that the Indianapolis Colts is the number 1 defense in the league. But without a doubt, this is going to be a huge defensive game. This is going to be a hard-hitting game. This is going to be the number 1 defense in the NFL versus the number 2 defense in the NFL. Which defense can get it done in crunch time? And oh boy, am I excited and nervous as hell about this game this weekend. And I honestly think that this Pittsburgh Steelers Indianapolis Colts game deserves game of the week. You won't hear me say we deserve game of the week very often, but there's a lot of playoff implications riding on this game. And if they don't play that Colts Steelers game, by golly, they better play the Packers Titans game, because I don't really like the Packers that much. If you know me, you know I can't fucking stand the Packers, as a matter of fact. But I'm be going for the Packers this weekend, because I really need the Packers to beat that Tennessee Titans team. Because if we can overcome that Pittsburgh Steelers team, if we can rip through that steel curtain, and the Green Bay Packers can do what they can do against the Tennessee Titans, we take the lead in the division, and then next week play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we have a great chance to win the division going into the playoffs and get out of this wild card race that we're in. So this is a really big week, not just for the Colts, but for the Steelers, for the Browns, for the Titans. There's a lot riding on this Colts-Steelers matchup and this Tennessee Titans-Green Bay Packers matchup. Of course, like I said, I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to come out on top against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I also think the Green Bay Packers are going to come out on top of the Tennessee Titans. Christmas Day, I got New Orleans Saints overcoming the people they can't over, the purple people eaters that they haven't been able to overcome over the past few years. They're going to take out that aggression, and Saints fans are going to have another Christmas present to open up when the Saints open up that can of whoop-ass on the Vikings on Christmas Day. I'm excited about Week 16 of the NFL season. Congrats to everybody that made their fantasy football Super Bowls. Congrats to y'all. Good luck. Hope you all the best of luck. And thank you again so much for tuning in to this week's episode of TAC Sports. I'm going to be back at it again in full swing. I'll be back at you guys again next week talking about a lot more NBA and talking about NFL playoffs. So make sure you tune in to the Huddle Chat Sports Show. And if you haven't yet, make sure you drop a like on the stream. Make sure you drop a like on the video. Like I said before, never be afraid to give me feedback. Drop the comments in the comment section or hit me up on social media and let me know what you want to hear about, because I want to talk about what you want to hear about. But we gonna talk again next week. Thank y'all again so much for tuning in to the Huddle Chat Sports Show. Stay safe, stay high, stay blazing out there. Much love. Merry motherfucking Christmas and happy holidays. I love y'all, and I'm the fuck out of here. Peace out, y'all.